It's easy for us to grow content doing the same things year after year, when in reality we need to be pushed out of our comfort zones in order to use some untapped and new ministry muscles. If your youth ministry responsibilities never change, you limit your personal and spiritual growth. You become bored. You'll begin to depend on your own strength instead of God's power. But trying new opportunities within your youth ministry can keep you fresh and dependent on God. Now, here are some practical ideas for doing something new. Why don't you try teaching or speaking at a program that you normally don't teach or speak at? And if you don't teach or speak at the programs, when you do, try something like a game or an object lesson or a creative teaching technique. You might try planning a retreat for your small group. Maybe you're always used to talking to a certain group of students and you break out of that group and you talk to some new students. Basically, you just keep developing these new ministry muscles. Maybe you try answering a question yourself before asking students that question. Well, these are just a few ideas of something new you could do. But all of these require one thing. Here it is: risk. You've got to be willing to risk some sore muscles, risk some pain, and maybe risk a bit of a bruised ego if it doesn't go the way you want it to go. But these are the very things that may inspire you to endure, and they will be the things that build up your perseverance. Now, endurance, number 4, also comes from learning. Now, this is a quick point because this is the essence of what these tapes are all about, and since you're listening to this, chances are you're a learner. All leaders are learners, and when you stop learning, you stop leading. And when you stop learning, you become tired, apathetic, and passionless. I can honestly say that most of the volunteers that I know who have burned out of youth ministry are the ones who stopped learning. So how can you keep learning? Well, I encourage you to buy one youth ministry book a year and chip away at it and learn as you go. I know you don't have a lot of extra time to read. Well, take it slowly. Maybe you would get a tape and listen to this tape and hear some fresh ideas. Maybe you poke around on the internet and you look for different youth ministry sites that you can something from. Why don't you subscribe to a youth ministry email service where new ideas are flowing every single day? I'm on one of those email lists, and I'm learning from youth workers who are brand new. I've been doing youth ministry for over 20 years, and I'm learning from rookies every day. I love their energy. I love their ideas. I don't necessarily agree with everything they write, but they make me think. The bottom line is this: do something that allows your mind to be stretched and keep learning, or you're going to lose your passion. Now, the last thing I want to say about endurance, the 5th principle, is this: that endurance comes from a connection with Christ. This is the most important point on this tape. Actually, I'm just stealing a lesson from Jesus when he said in John 15, "Abide in me and I'll abide in you, because apart from me you can do nothing." Endurance comes from a connection with Christ. You see, youth ministry happens out of the overflow of what is in our hearts. Our personal and intimate relationship with Jesus Christ is more important than anything you could ever do in youth ministry. And when we're connected with God, we see students differently, and we ask different questions about our youth ministry. When we're connected to Christ and our faith is authentic and present and alive, we don't ask questions like, I wonder if that game will work, or I wonder if the skit is going to be good. Will they like this video? Instead, we ask questions like, where am I going to see God tonight? That's a different attitude altogether. It's an attitude of hope and expectancy, the very attitude that God wants us to have. The next time you begin a youth ministry program, would you silently pray a prayer asking God to give you eyes to see what He's going to do? Now, sure, we can use games and skits and videos, but not if we don't have an eye to see God. And we don't have an eye to see God when we're not connected to Him. When we're connected to God, we expectantly hope for God to show up and surprise us with the God things.